Hey everybody, we're here. It's actually, I think, September the 2nd, 2013, or 2023. I'll get that right in a second. We can do a little arts and crafts. I think everybody has seen the marker for Joseph Ragsdale. He's the son of Leonard and Margaret. He was born March 30th of 1881. He died April 30th of 1882, so he was 13 months old. And that marker has been at the farm for about 20 years now. I'm going to try to kind of restore it a little bit and put it back where it rightfully belongs. I'll give you a real quick backstory as I understand it. Uncle Nolan, I guess, at some point realized that the marker had broken in two, did the right thing. He got a replacement for it. So there's a new modern marker up at Mount Olivet Cemetery for Joseph. It's been there since. Problem was he had the half of a remaining one, and I guess he didn't know what to do with it, so he brought it back to the farm. And it sat against that tree. You can actually see an outline. It's kind of in the moss there. It sat there for probably close to 20 years. It seemed like it anyway. And it was just out of place. Didn't make any sense why it was there. We didn't know what else to do with it. I guess he didn't want to throw it away. You know, good on him for replacing it. Makes sense not to just dispose of it. But it wasn't the place for it. So, I guess it's been about 2 months ago, I was here and I made, I'll try to roll some footage in of the mold, but I made this. This is a cement block that matches the outline. I'll show you real quick. That goes there. This one goes here. And they roll together like so. So what my intent is kind of restore this to one functional piece. And we'll take it back up to the cemetery at Mount Olivet, and we'll put it. It'll be on the back side of the one that Nolan got. So it will be his original marker, and it will be back where it, rightfully belongs, instead of against the tree here at the farm. If you're wondering why I didn't just cast them in one piece, I tried. There was a bit of a problem. In order to make the cement stick, it needed to be watery, stick to the existing marker. The problem with that is that if it's too watery, if it's too liquidy, it will go up underneath it and it'll end up basically cementing the whole thing to the frame, to the mold that I had to use. So that wasn't going to work. So I made it. It didn't quite stick. So now the idea is I'm going to try to glue them together with some two-part epoxy, and that should work. It's the best we can do at this point. Anyway, let me get to it. I'll glue them, and we'll see how it holds. Okay, I'm going to try to videotape this and see how it does. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm gonna let it sit overnight. I'll come out tomorrow and see if it's should be one unified piece at that point, and then we'll go put it back at Mount Olivet. Okay, it's the next day. Let's see what we got. Oh. Let me line you up here. Well, discoloration's a little. Yeah, it's different. Yep, it is glued. Most of this will be underground, so this is just the runoff from the epoxy. Like I said, most of this I'm going to try to bury it up to roughly there anyway, so a lot of that isn't going to be visible, hopefully. But yeah, it occurred to me last night that there might be some people watching this who don't fully know who Joseph was. Um, so you got Leonard and Margaret, who built the farmhouse. They had 4 daughters and then a son. Joseph was their firstborn son. Um, I, he made it to about, like I said, 13 months old, and then he drowned. Unfortunately, there was an accident at the back end of the farm. There was a bucket or some sort of a container, a pot, something that had some water in it. He was apparently playing hide and seek with his 4 older sisters. You know, even at 13 months, he could, I guess, crawl around a little bit. And unfortunately, he crawled headfirst into this container, trying to hide. And there was just enough water in it that, unfortunately, once he got himself in it, he could not get himself out. And I've read some letters that some of like Marie and Roy and Theron and Nolan's cousin wrote, who was a little older and I guess had actually met and still remembered Margaret. And apparently there was just a tiny amount of water in it, but it was enough, unfortunately. But that's Joseph's story. Um, and like I said, he was the only one of Margaret and Leonard's children not to survive to adulthood. Unfortunately, he died as a baby. He's buried up in Mount Olivet, which is where we're going to next to reinstall that. So here we are at Mount Olivet Church. You can see down there's the church. And if you walk this way, if you're curious about where this is, there's this big tree here right as you come in. And just immediately to the left, this is the marker that Nolan put in for Joseph Luther, son of Leonard J. and Margaret G. Ragsdale, March 30th, 1881 to April 30th, 1882. He carries the lambs in his bosom. So this is the replacement stone, the replacement marker that Nolan got. I know there was some possible questioning on whether he put it in the right or wrong spot. Down here, there's a footstone, and it says J.L.R., which is Joseph Luther Ragsdale. And this is also the exact same thickness as the stone that he brought back and left in the house. So unless he went through the effort of relocating the foot marker, which doesn't make any sense. The foot marker was here. It's solidly in the ground. It's not going anywhere. It hasn't been moved. Then this is the correct spot. Okay, so we've got the marker for Joseph Luther on this side, the new replacement one. And the original on the back side. This is the one that was here when he was laid to rest. If you're wondering why it's not closer, it's because, as it turns out, there's a bunch of concrete from about here to here. So that was as close as I could dig without being like 1 inch. So if you've never walked through a cemetery with a shovel, it's a unique experience. But yeah, that's Joseph. That's his original marker. The reason I thought this was worthwhile is because that's the marker that Leonard and Margaret placed here when their son died, and it seemed important that it return to where they left it. I imagine that I'm still sweating a little bit from the digging. It's summer still in Georgia, so it's a little warm. You kind of have to imagine that they probably brought their children later after, including Thomas, up to here to show them that this is your brother. He is one of us also. It's a kind of a touching thing. You have to imagine that this is a long time ago. That I know if you bring it up, sometimes my grandmother Marie will still kind of start to cry a little bit. It was a traumatic experience, and it kind of ripples through generations. It's amazing. Because of that, I thought this did need to go back to where it kind of belongs, where it was from. So I kind of figured out how to make it work, made a little extension for it. The reason I didn't just bare the whole thing was because nothing would be readable. The date of death wouldn't be readable anymore if it was 6 inches underground. But that's it. But like I said, um, Joseph's life mattered, and because of that, we remember him. That's it.